Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. Of course, that is me, Kyle Branchley, in the house here on this Wednesday, on the 8th day of January. 1 week down in 2025. How we feeling out there? So far, so good. It's been a good year so far. Very limited complaints. Reflecting back on 2024, 2024 was a great year. A great year of growth for me, a great year of growth for the podcast, and I'm just excited for what 2025 holds, and I hope you guys are as well. Thank you guys for joining Fan Talk. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome, welcome. I've been doing this for a couple years now, and I'm excited to keep going into 2025. This podcast, of course, is found anywhere you get your podcast. I upload to YouTube. You can find all my previous episodes there, saved on my YouTube channel, just Kyle Branchley into YouTube, and then just Fan Talk wherever you get your podcast elsewhere. All right, guys, we're jumping in with some football action. Yeah, I sound like a broken record player over here. Football, football, football. But especially towards the end of the year and into January and February, of course, you got the College Football Playoff going. We'll be talking about the final four teams. We'll talk about the semifinal games that are happening this weekend. And the NFL playoffs are set, so we'll be looking at the field, talking about potential matchups, and looking at maybe some upsets, and I'll be giving you my picks. Of course, we'll be recapping the NFL picks because obviously the season is over now. I'll compare how I did this year to how I did last year and maybe give you some tips moving forward. But as always, Fan Talk, of course, is a podcast that you can find anywhere you get your podcast. Shout out to the Rogue One poster. Still haven't seen Skeleton Crew. It's on my list. It's probably like Q number 7 or 8 on things I need to watch. So I might not get to it for a couple of months. Got the candle burning, little sweater weather, little chilly out here. Pretty much chilly everywhere. So, yeah, there's your forecast. All right, let's jump right in. Let's start with college football. We had some awesome games, and I talked about it last week on the episode, of course, with Texas surviving in overtime, double overtime over Arizona State, Ohio State dominating Oregon, Penn State dominating Boise State, and then Notre Dame having a very dominating performance on the defensive side of the ball against a Georgia team that was without Carson Beck. So we have our semifinal matchup set. We have first tomorrow, January 9th, 6 Penn State, 7 Notre Dame in the Capital One Orange Bowl. That game is going to be lit, honestly, because this was a matchup that when the teams got first, when the bracket first got put out, I was like, well, this is a matchup that I would really like to see. I'm like, but it probably won't happen because Notre Dame might lose to Georgia and Penn State would probably, well, honestly, Penn State, I think, deserves to be here. They've had a pretty they've probably had the easiest path so far, beat an SMU team and then beat a Boise State team. Non-Power 5 teams right there, Power 5 conference teams right there. I mean, they've had the easiest path so far. A true test against a Notre Dame team that is very good, that ultimately should have been undefeated. You know, if you take away that very bad loss to Northern Illinois, this is an undefeated Notre Dame team with a great defense, a great coach, very capable team to watch out for. So I'm excited for that one. That game, of course, is on Thursday. Perhaps the more heavyweight matchup is between number 5 Texas and 8 Ohio State. Ohio State, in my opinion, is kind of the favorite to win it all right now. They just look the best. They obliterated a good Tennessee team 42-17. They obliterated the number 1 Oregon undefeated team 41-21. Until somebody stops them, they're going to win. And thankfully, Michigan's not in the college football playoffs, so I don't know if anyone will stop them. Texas, of course, a very talented team. Don't count them out. Played very well against Clemson. Played pretty bad against Arizona State, but was able to eventually get the win in double overtime. You know, great performances by Quinn Ewers and the defense there eventually held at the end. So this should be a great matchup. This game is going to be on Friday night, Ohio State, Texas, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I don't know if I go as far to say the winner of this game will guarantee win it all. If Ohio State does win, I do think Ohio State is winning the whole thing. But if Texas somehow wins, I'm not going to guarantee that Texas beats either Penn State or Notre Dame. Honestly, I think it's going to be Notre Dame and Ohio State. Could be fun. Could be a Penn State-Ohio State Big Ten matchup. But we'll just have to see. And then, of course, the championship game will be on January 20th on ESPN. But it's crazy that another college football season is almost coming to an end. It goes by too fast, and you just have to appreciate things while you have them. That's true with many things in life, but especially football. All right, let's talk NFL now. I wanted to show you how I ended up doing with my picks. If you're not familiar, all year long I did NFL picks, and I tracked them, and I had a lot of people that were in this fan talk group. There was 13 people. I ultimately ended up winning. No one could stop me. There's no surprise there. But overall, my record was 198 correct guesses, 74 incorrect guesses. I was ranked 5,000th in the world, in the 99 percentile. At one point, I was up to, what was it, like 27 or something? I was up there really high, but, I kind of fell off pace, honestly, and then I started chasing my losses and tried to pick upsets to catch back up, and those didn't pan out. So, I mean, that's a lesson in gambling for you. Once you're ahead, quit, because if you just keep going, you might lose it. And then if you chase your losses, then you might lose more. But anyways, I did a lot better this year than I did last year. I looked up my numbers last year. I had 161 correct guesses and 101 incorrect guesses. So I did immensely better this year. I was ranked in the pretty much top 5,000. I would have liked to have been top 100. I was for a little bit, but greed got to me. There was this another game I played, was picking the win totals of each team. So they'd give you an over-under estimate. For example, the Carolina Panthers, the over-under was 4.5 games. Would they win more than that, or would they win less than that? I picked less than that, but they ended up winning 5 games, so I would have gotten that one wrong. So I got 25 teams correct and 7 teams wrong when trying to guess their over-under win percentage. Ended up 289th ranked in the entire world, 99 percentile. So kind of fun there. Fun little games I like to play, more than just fantasy football. There's just these fun little games that you can play through ESPN. Yahoo does games too, CBS Sports. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's real fun. All right, let's talk the NFL. It is playoff times. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I say that about 4 or 5 times a year, and it cannot be more true. So here's the playoff picture as you see it. All the teams are set. All the games are ready to go. It's going to be awesome. The first game will be this Saturday. The 4-seed Houston Texans, winners of the AFC South, will host the number 5 seed Los Angeles Chargers, 2:30 p.m. on CBS. This game will be really fun. And my initial inclinations are to pick the Chargers. I think the Chargers are playing really hot right now. They're well coached. Justin Herbert's great. Their offense is good. Their defense is much improved. And the Texans have kind of, limped their way the last couple of weeks of the season. C.J. Stroud's kind of in a sophomore slump. Of course, they've lost Stephon Diggs. Joe Mixon was injured a couple of times, but he's back. So it'll be interesting to see. Texans have been in the playoffs many times in the last few years and have hosted because they've won that AFC South title many times. But I think the Chargers ultimately win this game and move on to play, depending on the other matchups, because it's kind of interesting. The number 1 seed, so the highest seed, the Chiefs, will play the lowest seed that comes out of these 3 games. So, for example, if the Bills, Ravens, and Chargers win, they'll play the Chargers because 5 is lower than 3 or 2. If the Broncos or Steelers win, then they will play the Chiefs, if that makes sense. So, but I am taking the Chargers to beat the Texans and to face off against the Chiefs in the divisional round. Ravens and Steelers, that game is also on Saturday. It will be a Prime Video exclusive, so I'm sure you guys all have Prime. Ravens and Steelers, same kind of deal with the Steelers as with the Texans. A team that played very well at the beginning of the season, but the last few weeks just have not looked good. Russell Wilson is not on the same page as George Pickens. Mike Tomlin is thankful that his defense has been elite, but even they have struggled. But he's thankful that they started 10-3 because they lost their last 4 and ended 10-7. Still made the playoffs. We'll have to play a very good Baltimore team in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. I'm going all Ravens here. This is a Ravens all the way moment. The Ravens, really trying to push for a Super Bowl, really trying to get Lamar that ring, that next step, and a very good opportunity to do it against a struggling Steelers team. Bills and Broncos. That's right. The Denver Broncos have made the playoffs for the first time since 2015 season when Peyton Manning was their quarterback and they went on to win Super Bowl 50. So the vibes are great in Denver. The vibes are great right here in my heart. I'm just happy to be here. I acknowledge that playing in Buffalo in January against Josh Allen and the Bills is not an easy task. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Denver all the way. Realistically, the Bills should win this game and probably will win this game. This is a same as Lamar Jackson. This is an opportunity for Josh Allen, a very winnable game against a good Broncos team, but they're at home. They have the momentum for him to kind of not necessarily cruise, but a good path to the conference championship, where hopefully they can take out the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Chargers, whoever they end up facing there, and ultimately get to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, has been there, has been to the AFC Championship, has been to the divisional round many times, but has often lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. So is this the year that he can finally get over that hump? We'll see, but first he has to face a very good Broncos team. Bo Nix was cooking. Yes, I know it was the backups of the Kansas City Chiefs, but still 38-0. Incredible. The defense is elite, a top 5 scoring defense in the league. So don't count out the Broncos just yet. I do think the Bills win this game. I think this game is close. Maybe a 3-point game within a touchdown at least. I think it's a close game. I think the Broncos make it competitive, give their fans a good show, and the future is bright there in Denver with Bo Nix. So I'm excited. Let's pop over to the NFC. I don't know why I'm talking like a British guy now, but that's just what happens when you talk a lot. Sometimes you just slip into other characters. I am an actor after all. So the Lions get the bye, the number 1 seed over because they had a big win against Minnesota. That game was huge playoff implications. So the Lions will have home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. So the first game for the NFC side will be happening, Packers and Eagles. That game will be happening on Sunday. Very similar to Ravens-Steelers situation, maybe Texans-Chargers situation, where the Packers, very good team, but have kind of limped the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Just haven't looked as good. They're having a rematch with the Eagles. Of course, these teams met in Sao Paulo, Brazil, week 1 for the first ever game in Brazil. That game was awesome. Eagles ultimately won that game. And I think the Eagles will win this game too. Jalen Hurts should be coming back after being in concussion protocol for the last 2 weeks. Get Kenny Pickett out of there. Get Jalen Hurts running the ball. Saquon Barkley, if he needs to throw A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, he's got options. I like the Eagles in this one. Now, this game might be... a lot of these matchups are really good, but this next game, Buccaneers hosting the Commanders, this is a game I'm very personally excited for. I think this game's sneaky good. Tampa Bay is playing as hot as a Florida day can get. Baker Mayfield is cooking and proving that he is the guy. The Browns are scratching their heads. The Panthers are scratching their heads saying, hey, why didn't we not keep this guy? This guy is elite. Joke's on you. Baker Mayfield is going to sail with the Buccaneers. I think they beat this Commanders team. Jaden Daniels, very good. Very good. Might even have a very good shot actually at winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Very good year for the Commanders, a franchise that has had 15 or 16 different starting quarterbacks in the last 8 seasons. Like, they were up there with the Broncos with that terrible stat, but the Commanders have found their guy. They have a good offense, good team there, but unfortunately they drew the Buccaneers in the first round. They would have, really liked to. I guess there's not really any dubs. All these teams are very good in the NFC. It's going to be a bloodbath, but I like the Buccaneers in this one. I actually have the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship in one of my bracket predictions. There's a game where you can play. You can make a couple of them. But I just think if Baker Mayfield can continue playing hot, then this team is very, very dangerous. And then the last game, Rams and Vikings. This one should be interesting to monitor. Of course, if you have not heard, there are a ton of wildfires, absolutely terrible, huge, covering a lot of acreage in the Los Angeles area and kind of north that area of Malibu. So it'll be interesting to watch because obviously the Rams play in LA, so they're going to keep an eye on the fires. Right now, they're not in any immediate danger, but things could definitely change with high winds and dry conditions. But the Rams are hosting the Vikings. Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay back in the playoffs after securing the NFC West title. And of course, the Vikings losing to the Lions, so instead of getting the 1 seed, they got the 5 seed. This should be a very fun matchup on Monday Night Football. I actually like the Vikings in this one to get revenge. The two teams played back in Week 8 when Matthew Stafford and the Rams won 30-20 over the Vikings. I think the Vikings get their revenge. They have a bad taste in their mouth from losing to the Lions, and they want a rematch with the Lions as well. Watch out for this Vikings revenge tour this postseason. They could be dangerous. All right, guys. So That's what Wild Card Weekend's going to look like. It is going to be a legendary week of football. Of course, with Thursday with the College Football Playoff, and then Friday with the College Football Playoff, and then two NFL games on Saturday, and three NFL games on Sunday, and then an NFL game on Monday. This is like the best thing that could ever happen to January was postseason football. People get the January blues, they get the winter blues. Just turn on football. You will be in heaven. You will not notice the cold. You will not notice the wind chill. You will not notice the snow. It's a beautiful time of year. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below your NFL playoff predictions for the Wild Card Weekend, as well as the College Football Playoff Semifinals. And as always, leave suggestions, tell your friends, leave a like. Follow me down on my socials. I'll link those down below in the description. And thank you. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Fans.